Then let's kick this off. Good morning. This is our briefing for the Mason County Commission, week of October 18th, 2021. Let's see. We're going to move right into support services with Frank Pinter. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning, commissioners. Thank you. First couple of items are related to September financial statements. Jennifer?
Thank you, Frank. Good morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
So beginning on page 2 with the September financial statements, we have through September for current expense revenue of $31,703,495. And this is 80% of our total budget. Last year, we had $27,564,365, which was 72% of our total budget. So any questions on the revenue? Okay. Moving on to the treasurer's detail. In the treasurer's on page 3 and 4, we have $21,234,188, which is 81% of their total budget. And last year we were at $18,326,202, which was 70% of their total budget. Any questions on the treasurer's revenue? Okay, moving on to page 5, the current expense expenditures. This year through September, we're at $28,086,202 compared to last year, $27,258,249. This year, we're at 68% of our total expenditure budget, and last year we were at 70%.
Jennifer, hold on for 1 minute, please. Frank, try to mute yours for a minute. We have a feedback issue, and it could be I turned mine off and it didn't stop. There we go. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Okay, so a couple of places of note. The parks and trails, they're at 79% of their total budget, and I believe most of that is in fuel. We need to give them a budget amendment. We underestimated their fuel, and then I think maybe the water, if I remember right. So anyway, we'll be coming forward with a budget amendment ask soon for them, for parks. The coroner as well, their fuel was underestimated, so I'll be asking for an amendment for them as well. And the murder expenditures are at 74% of the total budget, so I'm just going to keep an eye on that. So any questions on the expenditures? Okay. Moving on to page 6, we have the 6-year specific revenue streams comparison, and everything is up over last year, except for, of course, the road diversion property tax, since we cut that in half, so that's expected. But between the property tax for current expense and that, we're up overall. So any questions on any of the specific revenue streams on page 6? Okay, moving on to page 7, the sales tax. So we received in September $773,000 in sales tax, and if things keep going in October, November, and December, if we receive about between $700,000 and $800,000 for all 3 of those months, we'll probably receive in total for 2021 around $8.5 million in sales tax. So it's pretty incredible.
What do you have in our current budget that we're working with for sales tax for the next year?
We have, I believe it was 7.2 million, somewhere in there. So that's definitely somewhere that we could look to increase a little bit. But I mean, this year,
that's a pretty safe number. And
yeah,
what goes up must come down. So
yeah, I mean, I don't want to go crazy with it. I mean, this year we only have 6.25 million budgeted, which was, an increase over last year, 6 million. So, yeah. Any other questions or comments on the sales tax? Okay. Moving on to page 8, the 6-year financial recap. So in current expense through September, or at the end of September, we're at $20,010,006 in cash. And again, 80% of our total revenues and 68% of our total expenditures budgeted. Page 9, we have the special fund cash balances, and we are at $42,592,156 overall through the end of September. The Skoke flood zone is of concern to me. They only have, here it shows 17,000, but as of last week, they were down to 15,000, and they don't have a levy anymore. So that's something we need to keep an eye on. I know their beginning fund balance for 2022, I believe it was estimated at like 90,000, which is going to be too high unless they have some other revenue source that I'm not aware of. So so we need to take a look at that.
Bear in mind when we started to when we did away with that revenue, we were trying to start to spend it down on some of the things that are occurring out there on the Skoke. Commissioner Schutte, do you mind unmuting for a second? That's your area? You were right in the middle of working on that. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
Okay.
What's the concern?
That they're budgeting for 90,000 in, I believe that was the number, 92,000 maybe for beginning fund balance, and their cash right now is only 15,000.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure where that additional cash is going to come from.
Mm-hmm.
Was that
would that be passed through for any of the grants for the Army Corps project or the FLAP funded road project? The dips.
Yeah, I don't know. We can
Okay.
take a look at that.
Yeah, well, I guess when we have their budget presentation, we can scrutinize that a little bit more.
Okay.
make sure that we do look at that, Jennifer, during their budget presentation? Have you already, because you've been kind enough to be working with them, have you brought that up to them during your discussions?
So they rescheduled our budget meeting for today. They weren't ready last Wednesday. So we'll be meeting today at 1 o'clock. So I'll bring that up.
I'm sorry you have to keep picking up this load, Jennifer. I know, what that means, that they had to reschedule. That's a bummer.
That's okay. We'll get it done. Okay, so moving on to page 10, we have the motor pool budget to actual comparison. So we are at 83.5% of our total budget. And a lot of that is due to, again, the motor pool capital upfit. They're fully expended. They're taking a look at the supplies lease and then the capital lease. We're actually at 72% of our total budget. So we're right where we should be there. The fuel is under budgeted in a few of the departments like facilities, parks and trails, and the coroner again. So I'll be taking a closer look at that for our budget amendment in December and bringing something forward on a few of those departments. So any questions on the motor pool? Okay.
On the available budget for parks and trails, we're going to be able to handle that before they run into a problem, or how are we going to do that? Or is that just going to come out of the regular budget?
Yeah, it'll just come out of their regular budget. So they'll be okay until we get them, as long as we end the year positive, they'll be okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Moving on to page 11 and 12. So on page 11, we have the special and other funds revenue comparison. So we are at $45,454,240 in the special funds through the end of September for 2021. And compared to 2020, we were at $27,329,015. So this year we're at 79% of our total revenue. And last year we were at 66%. So things overall are looking very well. Something of concern to me, and I'll follow up with Public Works on this, the ER&R fund, they should be collecting their revenue monthly, and 2021 rates are done. So I'm not sure why that isn't deposited there. They only have 155,000 in revenue through September, which is most likely from their outside sources that they're billing.
Wow.
So that's something that we need to get taken care of and get them back to monthly billing. So questions on the revenue before we move on to expenditures? Okay, so the last page, page 12, is the expenditures for special and other funds. We're at $35,147,401 through September of 2021. Last year we were at $26,073,110, and we're at 52% through 2021 and 50% through 2020. So questions on that?
On the county road, how is that going to track to the end here?
So you mean for their beginning fund balance?
Yeah, there's still an unexpended budget authority that is massive.
They normally have a really high unexpended budget authority due to, I think, mostly the timing of projects. I can take a closer look at that though.
Thank you.
Okay, so any other questions on that? Okay, so moving on to the next item, we have a setting of the hearing for November 23rd of this year to certify to the county assessor the amount of taxes levied for county purposes and the amount of taxes levied for current expense and road for 2022. And right now, we do not have an increase in the budget to the property tax, but an increase to the current expense and road property tax levies for 2022 may be considered. So is everybody okay with me setting the hearing for November 23rd? Okay, thank you.
I got yeses.
And the next thing that we have is the setting of the hearing to adopt the budget, the 2022 budget on December 6th. So I would like permission to set the hearing for December 6th, which is the soonest that we can adopt the 2022 budget. Perfect.
I may have a conflict with that. I'll get back to you. Okay.
Okay.
Don't know how I could, but I do. Go ahead.
Okay. So then should I wait to put that on the agenda to set that hearing then?
Yeah, it's going to be out 2 weeks anyway. So put it on the agenda. We'll be briefing on Monday.
Okay, we have a little bit of time.
Yeah.
So the major budget updates, I don't have any major ones. Hopefully next Monday, I'll be able to come back to you with the major budget updates for 2022. I do have a couple of things though. WASAC, they have Blake assessment dues, which is new. And the estimate for Mason County is $4,792. And so I just wanted to get permission to add that into the budget. We do have $5,000 budgeted in non-departmental for the veterans assistance that we can kind of swap out for that Blake assessment dues in non-departmental. So
I think it's absolutely critical that we do that.
Okay. So if you're okay with that, I'll remove the $5,000 for the veterans assistance, since we're doing that through ARPA funds, and up the WASAC dues for the Blake assessment.
Kevin, do you have any opinion there?
What's that?
Kevin, do you have any opinion there?
Oh yeah, no, I'm supportive of the counties association's legal action. I think it's good that they're stepping up on this.
Yeah, as am I.
Okay, great. The other thing that's not in the budget that I need to figure out with the health department is Fund 145, the Clean Water District. We need to change the name of that fund. I forget what it's called right now, but that's the new fund that Alex Pacey has been billing on. And so we need to add that in. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, commissioners, that it's not in currently, and we'll be bringing that forward. The HCCC, the Hood Canal Coordinating Council dues of $2,500, that is currently in the budget. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention and make sure that that's okay to keep in there for 2022.
Any issues?
No, just I guess more maybe a heads up. I don't know if I shared this with Jennifer and Frank already, but there is going to be a conversation about increasing those dues. I think Commissioner Nether, they might not have been increased since you've been on there. 2,500 has been sort of where they've been at for, feels like, several years, and so there's some conversation happening. Nothing imminent, but that might be something that we get to consider next year. And it wasn't anything exorbitant, but just a maintenance type increase.
Okay, so we'll keep it at 2,500 until we hear different then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. And then the internal allocation, I just wanted to bring it to your attention, and I'll bring this forward next week. I had made an error on the unallowable expenditures, and so I did not remove all of the debt restructuring that I should have, and so that changes the allocation a little bit. So nothing major. I think our total receivable was about 1.75 million, and it brings it down to like 1.704 million. So I'll bring that forward next week.
Jennifer, just to clarify, my issue on the 6th is not an issue. It's handled. So I have no issue with it.
Okay, great. So I'll put that on the agenda for the next meeting then, to set the hearing for December 6th, if everybody else is okay with that, commissioners.
Good with me.
Good.
Perfect. That's all that I have then.
Thank you very much, Jennifer.
Thank you, Jennifer. And the last item, I need to move till the following week, next Monday. There's some documentation I'm waiting for to come back in, and we'll have that meeting or that conversation next Monday. And that's all we have.
Okay. Any questions for staff, commissioners?
Not for me.
Just a quick comment. Jennifer, if you need help meeting with people to get the budget rolling, please let us know.
Okay, thank you. I will do that.
All right. Thank you guys very much. Next up is community service, Dave Windom. You're a little early. Are you okay to go now?
Well, let's see who I've got on here.
Alex Pacey, Kel Rowan.
Yeah, Alex is on. Yeah, I think we're good to go. So our first two items are with Alex. So let's go ahead and get started with that.
Okay. Welcome, Alex.
Morning, commissioners. So we'll go ahead and start with our Clean Water District applications. We've got 2 applications regarding that posting that we put out at the end of September. I'm just requesting that we forward those to processing, unless you guys want to give it some more time. We have 2 for the 3 vacant positions currently. And then again, it's been a while since I've gone through this process, but I believe you guys still do interviews, even if there is just 1, right? So this would,
most of the time, I saw one of the applicants, any interview of Ms. King is going to be an exercise only, but go ahead.
right, okay. So just requesting we forward those to interviews and continue processing the applications.
She might interview us.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Definitely supportive.
Me too.
What else you got,
Great.
Alex?
My next request is for an additional environmental health specialist. So this is tied to our foundational public health dollars that I think Dave has let you guys know, Board of Health know for a while now, and that money's coming in this year. And of that money, a certain portion of it is set aside to environmental health programs. Our plan is to use that funding to hire 2 environmental health specialists. The first one you guys already have approved, and that is to help us out with compliance in environmental health programs across all of them, really, but mainly geared towards solid waste and sewage. And you guys approved that last week or week before. And then the second EHS that we would like to hire is for food safety, which I've got some notes here and information on kind of what we plan to do with that. But our food safety program has always been a single person program, and bringing on an additional staff will be really beneficial to the service that we provide to not just our establishments, but the public itself. Is there any questions?
You're saying there's money coming in for this position this year?
Correct. So this is expected. We've got draft language coming with I believe it's end of October CONCON. So it's just in the next week or so, we should be seeing this contract update that includes this funding.
Okay, on this fund, does it specify for a position, or does this money coming in?
It's, Commissioner, it's got $236,000 set aside just for environmental health beyond, within the pieces of this, the 756,000.
Okay.
Does that have an expiration date?
That's going to go through the end of this. So it's retroactive to July 1st, goes to June 30th of this next year, at which time our FPHS dollars recycle again. So this is going to be permanent funding from the state.
Yes, I'm just trying to figure out whether this is something that should be being handled in budget or now. Commissioners, what are you thinking?
Do you have anyone in line? Do you have, I know you guys just put applications out, but I'm not sure for this position or not, but do you have someone you would hire before the end of the year?
Yeah, so what we're doing is we have a posting out currently for the enforcement piece of the environmental health specialist that you guys already approved. So my request is just to hire another one out of that same posting. Our environmental health specialists are kind of what we determine to be generalists, so we can bounce them between different programs, but the job postings are all the same. So the reason we're kind of pushing this out now is it would be beneficial for us as we're going through interviews and reviewing applicants to know what program we plan on sticking these people into. So we're already doing some code enforcement work, but if we find someone that might be a good fit for food safety, it'd be helpful to doing that now and to make use of the job posting and the applicants that we have.
Dave, was this in your 2022 budget request?
It was not, but this is something we'll need to add to that.
Okay. And is that just because of the timing of when the plan was due and when the money came available?
Yeah, we've been waiting for DOH to get the, DOH and WSOFO to come up with the allocation formulas, and those were just approved, so we'll be seeing those this month. So, and again, it's retroactive to the 1st of July.
So I'm supportive. I think my one ask would be I want to see the the contract in front of us first. And I know it sounds like that's forthcoming. So I don't know that that would necessarily slow you down all that much, but just kind of want to see the contract first.
It shouldn't slow us down. In fact, I had a conversation with folks from OFM who didn't realize that county governments can't move forward on a contract until they actually see the contract. Making it retroactive the 1st of July isn't that helpful to us.
No, how many pages is the con now? It was
Hundreds.
13, I think, right?
Well, just the whereases, the initial piece, but it's going to be it's probably about 60 to 70 pages for the new con. And then each amendment that comes out adds to that.
So what do you think, commissioners?
Yeah,
Hold off until we get the contract and then have that discussion again?
I agree with Commissioner Schutte that we should wait until we see the contract.
So Alex, I think that's what we're going to do on that one.
Okay.
I want to go back to the positions for that committee. I know both of these people extremely well. I would definitely not need to interview them. They've been around forever. But I don't know if you have, if you know both of them.
You're talking to me?
No, I'm talking to Commissioner Schutte and Commissioner Trask to see if they actually want to interview them or what they want to do to get started.
I wouldn't mind meeting them, but I can always attend a meeting to meet them if you think that they're qualified and would be excellent.
A little overqualified might be the thing on this one here. I know the one gentleman, a lieutenant colonel, professor at Evergreen State College. He also is the chair and runs the water system out in the North Mason area. He was on the school board for years. The guy is extremely competent. And as for Terry King, I think we all cut our teeth on water quality in the beginning due to her and the knowledge she brought in every day. She used to attend the meetings regularly. She was in every committee I was on for environmental, sitting in the audience every time. So I don't know. It's I definitely don't have to, but I would welcome doing an actual interview if we think it's necessary.
I would be kind of along those lines, Commissioner. I'm comfortable appointing both of them. I think they'd be great fits for the committee. So I'm good moving forward with appointing both.
Okay, do you agree with that, Commissioner Trask?
Oh, yeah, well, I'll follow your lead and I can always just attend the meetings.
Yeah, you'll be impressed. You'll be impressed with these two. Alex, let's go ahead and do that. Let's just get them on the agenda for appointment.
Okay, and then just so I can write this up, we were going to have the initial term be 1 through 3 years, I think. So on these first two, do you guys have a specific time frame you want to set to each one of them?
No, I think Terry, you're going to want to snap up as long as you can. Might as well, give them both. They're very highly qualified.
You want to go 2 and 3 years on them?
Sure.
Okay.
Commissioners, are you okay with that?
Good with me.
Yep, let's do that.
Great. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
we'll bring this other one back to you guys once contract's fully secured.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you, Alex.
Okay, next we have Kel Rowan and Mariah.
Good morning, commissioners.
Morning.
Looks like last May, I briefed you on a local records grant that we applied for, which due to COVID was postponed. They reached out and let us reapply. So we updated it, reapplied, and we were awarded the grant. So just looking for permission to accept that.
Commissioners, any issue with taking money? Especially on a grant that is for something we need drastically for years?
Yeah, no, I think
Sounds like we're a go, Mariah. Thank you. Go
Okay,
ahead.
next item, Kel.
Excellent, thanks. I have a request to the appointment of Terry Arcieri to the Planning Advisory Commission. So I brought this back to the board, I think back in July. But I think maybe it fell through the cracks, but just to requesting that you interview and appoint, or, and then consider appointment to the planning commission. It would be the at-large position.
Okay.
No, hang on, I'm on the wrong application. I would probably want to interview. I don't know, Terry, do either of you know Terry?
No, I'd want to interview. Yeah, let's go ahead and interview, please.
Okay. Next up, I have a request to reappoint a community member to the 3-year term on the Mason County Historic Preservation Commission. And that is Jan Goodpaster. So just asking on behalf of Michael McSems, who is our staff person to the HPC, to reappoint Jan Goodpaster.
Is she currently still the vice chair?
I'm not sure. Mariah, do you happen to know if Jan Goodpaster is the vice chair?
She is.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm good.
I have no issue. That's 3.
Good.
Excellent. Okay, and lastly, I have 2 open seats due to resignations on the Historic Preservation Commission. The County Historic Preservation Commission is a 7-member commission which serves to identify and actively encourage the conservation of Mason County's historic resources. I will read a news release inviting qualified applicants to apply for these 2 open positions. So the Mason County Commissioners are seeking an applicant to fill 2 positions on the Mason County Historic Preservation Commission. The major responsibility of the Historic Preservation Commission is to identify and actively encourage the conservation of Mason County's historic resources by initiating and maintaining a register of historic places and reviewing proposed changes to register properties. They also work to raise community awareness of Mason County's history and historic resources and serve as Mason County's primary resource in matters of history, historic planning, and preservation. Commission members serve 3-year terms and meet monthly during business hours at the county offices in Shelton. During COVID, these meetings are being held via Zoom. Both of these terms are open due to unexpected vacancies and will expire in November of 2022. Applicants must be residents of Mason County. Interested persons are encouraged to apply for this commission by completing an advisory board form that can be downloaded from our website, or by calling the Commissioner's office at 427-9670 extension 419 or 360-275-4467 extension 419. Completed applications should be submitted in the Commissioner's office at 411 North 5th Street, Shelton. Positions are open until filled. If there are questions about these positions, please contact Michael McSems at 427-9670 extension 571 or by email at hpc@masoncountywa.gov.
And you will have somebody at our meeting on Tuesday to read the next Tuesday to read this to the public? Okay.
Yeah, either myself or Michael.
Okay. Sounds like we're go on that.
All right.
Okay, Commissioners, I think that's all we have, unless you have other questions.
No, we're doing good on time. Want to give a quick update on COVID and what's happening. I know we asked Frank to look into the testing. We didn't hear anything back on that yet. I'm still interested on what we're finding there.
Okay, so with the governor's announcements on Thursday that let me back up. So the governor had a press conference on Thursday in which he announced that the requirements for over 1,000 people indoors would require proof of vaccine or test, and then outdoor events of over 10,000 people would require vaccine or test proof. In that discussion, he also talked about the federal requirements that are coming out and the state's position on the federal requirements. And he strongly intimated that he was going to, if the federal government comes out with a vaccinate or test, that in order to conform with Washington's current programs, that they would disallow the testing and in order to conform with Washington. So what that's going to do is it's going to put us into a two contingency planning mode for the next several weeks until we get federal guidance. So we're going to have to plan for vaccinate or test, or vaccinate and terminate, or terminate. So we'll be going with, getting with Frank and with our incoming administrator to talk about those two things and what our planning assumptions are going to be around those things. If Washington State changes the federal guidance to match Washington's, we won't need the logistics of the testing that we're planning for right now. But if it doesn't, then we need to be able to pull the trigger on a large order of test kits in order to get our local employers at least their first push of test kits. So we're going to have to kind of have parallel planning processes for the next several weeks until we get further guidance.
On the test kits, I want to remind you that my recommendation or my request was that we find ways to purchase and provide a majority of the tests to the public, but not for the purpose of jobs, but for the purpose of health, that they have easier access to testing, the ability to not have to go to the store and infect other people if they want to test, and to test and stay home quicker if they did have it. So my reason for asking for the test was to get it to the public. So I just want to remind you of that. As for the other commissioners, I've been reluctant as we go through this process. I don't believe in doing things just for doing its sake, beating ourselves on the chest, putting together resolutions to make us sound good or sound like we're going to do this or do that when they're actually doing nothing like some of these other counties have done. But if we're going to go to a situation where we have to terminate some of our employees, I'm trying to find the simplest way to say this, but I hope that you will consider, even though I don't know what we could do, we may have to fight. I'm just saying it out there. I don't expect any comments. I'm just telling you right now, after hearing that, I went back and watched that video over and over again too, and I believe that is what he was saying. I sure wish he would speak a little clearer. Excuse me, I don't want to disrespect the governor. I sure wish that statement was made very direct and clear so that there was no confusion. But if that's a possibility, we have some very, very dear people that have worked here in this county, and it would be our determination at that point. I just think we need to be aware of that and look for opportunities to save their jobs. Okay.
I'll comment. If you
please
like.
go ahead. Yeah.
I'm not afraid of voicing my opinion on this. I think everybody's pretty clear where I stand. I absolutely will not. I will fight it to the bitter end. We can test our people. There's natural immunity, which is get the antibodies test, and you'll see. I've got one friend that's super high. She's higher than me, and I got the shot, and she's got natural immunities. We need to fight for our people. Or I will be fighting. So I don't know. That's where I stand.
So again, the reason why I'm even saying it now is we've got a few weeks to look at different options. If this just happens, we're not going to have much of a choice. I'm only asking now because we have to get a hold of our attorneys to start to have some discussions early on what to do, if we're even going to be able to do anything on it. I don't like just tilting at windmills. That's not what I'm talking about doing here. some of these other things, if we'd have tried to make those resolutions or ordinances, people say, we have no authority to do any of that stuff. I don't know what authority we'll have on this. We may not have any, but I want to find out. That's all I'm saying there, to see what we can do. Any other comments on that? Okay, then, David, I don't know, there's two here that have said that. Do we mind if we set David to at least talk to the attorney, David and Frank, to find out what kind of options, have them look at options?
And I believe that they're
I think
in the
they have been.
process of talking with them now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they've been talking for a while.
Yeah.
Want to make sure that we have it out there and that they are ready to come to us with options, if there are any. I haven't been seeing any, guys.
Well, I think it all depends on what we hear from OSHA. OSHA is the one that's writing the guidelines.
No,
And
he said, yeah, and he was saying though that he wants to align it with the state regardless of that. That's the part that scared me. What he's doing already, where you either get vaccinated or you're out. If he aligns with the state, I don't know how you're going to do that with private. With us, we're the arm of the state, so that may be a possibility. I'm not sure. David, is that what you heard also, or?
Well, yeah, I heard his statements, and it was definitely intimated that he's looking strongly at, I think is how he put it, modifying it to meet how Washington's doing things. So we are meeting this morning, and we are bringing the new administrator into the discussion, because this is a conversation that's going to overlap between Frank and the new administrator, the attorneys. We're going to have this discussion this morning and start looking at things. And like I said, we're going to have two planning contingencies going forward.
Yeah. And so you are bringing in the attorney specifically that conversation.
Yeah, well, we've already had conversations last week. So.
Okay. All right. Do we have anything else for Dave? Then thank you very much, Dave.
Hey, thank you.
Now, we're pretty early, I think, here.
I think they're scheduled for 10.
Do we see anybody on here?
Mm-mm.
Nope. So let's take a 15-minute break, guys.
Sounds good.
Thank you. All right, welcome back, everybody. It looks like we have all the players. So next up, let's go to Public Works, Loretta Swanson, Utilities and Waste Management. Good morning, Loretta.
Good morning, commissioners. Happy Monday.
Of course it is.
It is.
No, it is. I always have a good day, no matter what.
Good deal.
Bad moments, never bad days.
So we've got a couple items this morning, commissioners, that were to review. And one is our annual gauge agreement with the USGS. And for this is for maintaining a gauge within the Skokomish Valley. And pretty much a standard agreement, nothing new and different and unusual on this. Mike is happy to answer any questions if you have them on the agreement.
I know this one well and am supportive. Commissioners, do you have any comments, questions?
No.
For me, I think it's good.
All right, we'll move forward with it.
Okay. If commissioners like, Mike could tell you a little bit also about another gauging network that we're establishing within the valley. And we believe that's going to be really helpful in closing down or being more refined in when we have road closures within the valley due to flooding, and also when the road is reopened. So Mike, if you could share a little bit about that.
Yes, we found a company that has some solar powered stream gauges, and what we've done was we purchased 6 of them. We're going to spread them out the valley and put them in places that typically the water starts rising at first, and trying to predict that monitoring of when we're going to have to close the road and then when we can open the road. So one is the Polly Jacobs. That's where it gets the deepest, right there in the Skoke Valley. Bergalt Road, we have one set up there. Skoke Valley, where it crosses in the fields right there. Then we've got a couple on Lower Vance Creek Bridge and Middle Vance Creek Bridge, and then Eels Hill itself. So those are critical points, critical areas that tell us when, when the roads are going to be closed or when the access is not going to be available for emergency vehicles. So it's kind of exciting. We'll be able to put that on our own website and a link, and so the public can get to it too. And so they can make more informed decisions in that manner too. So.
That's cool.
Yeah, really, really great to hear that that's moving forward.
We're excited. It's been a good teamwork project between survey and ourselves and PUD and our utility coordinator. So it's been exciting to get rolling on that. And I know Rich put the same technology to work in the wastewater facilities as well. So
I've gotten so much positive feedback from PUD1 with working with Terry on this, and just they're very appreciative of his approach and how quickly he was able to turn things around. So hats off to Terry too.
He's a Johnny on the spot kind of person for sure. Much appreciated.
Sounds like road trip material.
I'm sorry, Commissioner.
Sounds like road trip material.
Yes, definitely. Next up, we have a recommendation from the hearings examiner and our county engineer for a road vacation off of Walnut Street. And take her away, Mike.
Yes, I'm sure you're all familiar with Mary Layton's request for Walnut Street and 4th Street to be vacated. It's been a long process, been a lot of involvement. The hearing examiner has finally issued his findings and facts. And basically in the conclusion, he recommends to either deny the vacation or at least do a modified form of that to leave access for Clevenger's property. And so we have done some analysis of what that could look like, and we've sent the map along to you. If you have it, it shows in the green there what the existing easement Clevengers have to access their property in this location. And then in the red dotted areas is the actual vacation area. So, and then right at the corner of that, you can see the 30 by 30 triangle that we are actually recommending to retain this area. It's not really needed because they have 30 feet, but we would propose this to better improve a radius. If it's ever developed through there, we would just have that right away that could be utilized to make a through road or a larger area to work with. So we also have provisions that Ms. Layton would have to, according to our new code, is a Class A road, and so therefore she'd have to pay 50% of the value of the appraised value. So it'd be around $9,581. And number 2, we would require her to relocate her board fence. Her fence is way out in the right of way of 3rd Street. It's also been a contentious issue with the line of sight of Clevenger's access to their property in the first place. And we would require her to relocate that back onto the right of way line. And if she didn't meet any of these 2 requirements, then we would say that no, we would deny the vacation. So what we're going to request, I know what it says we're requesting. What we're going to request is to you authorize us to make the offer, if you want to the property owner, and see if she would agree to that before we would actually put it on the action agenda. The reason for that is if we put it on the action agenda first, the board approves it, and then it never happens later down the road, somebody's going to find out and say, well, it got approved, but I don't know if it really happened. And so if we could just get the property owner to agree first, then we would request to bring it to the board.
So kind of like efficiency of government.
And keeping a clear record, both.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I certainly think it's prudent to have that conversation ahead of time before we make any final decisions on our side. So I'm supportive.
Same.
Great.
She's aware of the cost, although she's originally, trying to argue not to pay it. And she's also aware of moving the fence, although she's ignored that conversation. But she has not been aware of us actually retaining a portion of the right of way. So
Just a reminder, you have one commissioner that still thinks she should be paying 100% of its value.
Yep.
I assume that's you, Commissioner Netherland.
Yes.
Talking there, and I don't know, is that the second or third person? I don't know.
Yeah. She's getting off well and lucky. That's still got value. Will add that value to the property. If 50% is basically 10 grand, that means we're giving her 10 grand. So she should be happy.
That's all we have, commissioners. Unless we've got any updates, Mike, Richard, any quickie updates for commissioners?
We're paving OBH, the contractor, Central paving that this morning. They're going to get half the road today and half the road tomorrow. So we'll have it paved. We're going to end up with temporary striping on it for a while until we get a dry day to actually get it striped. But I'm glad they pushed through to try to accomplish that project. So.
Mhm.
Any questions or comments, commissioners? Okay.
I guess just one real quick comment, Loretta. We had a conversation earlier with Jen Byerly as part of our support services briefing. Just want to maybe get an update from your perspective on where things are with the budget preparation. And I think there's a meeting this week. And,
Yes.
we just anything we can do to be supportive of helping things move forward. I think let us know, but just an update would be nice.
Yep. Yeah. So we plan to submit our budget on Wednesday. So commissioners will have that ready to roll and review. So anytime the following week should be fine for briefing.
I do want to, since you brought that up, I do want to make a comment. I'm very disappointed that it was not, we're asking somebody to do it on a whole nother time frame. I'll just say it, Jennifer, it should not have been asked of her to continue it again another week when she was ready to meet and do it on her schedule before. So I just want to get that out there. I was very disappointed to hear that this morning.
Agreed.
Okay. Anything else? Then I thank you guys very much and we'll see you on the next one.
All right. Thank you, commissioners.
Any commissioner discussion?
Nothing.
Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
Move we adjourn.
I'll second.
Hearing no objection, we are adjourned.
Thanks, everybody.